This is my 2008 Honda CBR600RR, and I've owned this bike now since 2015. And today I'm going to give you guys an in-depth, long-term review of the ownership experience for this bike. Just over 10 years ago I bought this bike. It was my first super sport bike and my first experience ever on a real sport bike. You see, when I had bought my CBR, the bike I previously was riding was a 39 horsepower Kawasaki Ninja 300. Needless to say, my first experience on a 118 horsepower super sport was one I'll never forget.
Oh my god.
Now, I've done a lot with this bike. I've ridden across state lines, gone way over the speed limit, did my first wheelie, went to my first track day, met some of my best friends, and created many fond memories. In the 10 years I've owned this bike, a lot has happened. Buying the bike as a 22-year-old kid, navigating the exciting new world of motorcycles, and now as a 32-year-old man looking back, I can really reflect on what this bike has meant to me and the ownership experience it has given me during that time. And I'm here to discuss all of that with you guys in this video. Most of you have likely noticed that my CBR has went through a lot of changes from the day I bought it to how it stands now. When I originally bought my bike, it had just 7,000 miles on it and was completely stock down to the very last bolt, and it was even silver. Over the years, I put many miles on this bike, and now this bike sits at just over 31,000 miles, and over those miles, a lot of money was invested. A real lot of money. So much money, in fact, that I don't even really want to talk about it. But hey, make sure you subscribe for when I do decide to talk about it in another video where I will break down every single mod that I have on this bike and a cost breakdown as well. I do currently have a video like that, but since then I've actually dumped even more money into this bike, so an update is in order. But to give you the cliff notes, I have all new monster fairings to change this bike into my dream red and black color scheme. Oh, and my own name is on the belly fairing, which is a cool little custom touch. And don't worry, the original OEM silvers are still mint in the box in my attic. One of my favorite things on this bike is the absolutely glorious exhaust system. I have arrow headers and an Akrapovic slip-on exhaust to make it a full exhaust system. Here, take a listen to this little screamer. Now that's the sound of a proper sport bike. A full exhaust screaming over 15,000 RPM is super addicting, but that's not even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to mods. I have a power commander, quick shifter, an Öhlins rear shock, and about a mile-long list of other mods that, again, really deserves its own video. 31,000 miles is a lot. In that time, I've had to wrench the bike a few times. In terms of reliability, the bike has been absolutely rock solid, except for when I didn't fully seat the coil when I replaced all the spark plugs and the bike started misfiring. Whoops, but that was completely user error and not the bike's fault. Other than that, the 600 has been perfect. I've done annual oil changes and finally replaced the drivetrain a couple of years ago. And during that time, I did a 520 conversion and went -1 in the front to give the bike just a little bit more acceleration. I've done the spark plugs twice, once at 16,000 miles and again at around 30,000 miles. And of course, I've replaced coolant both times I did the spark plugs. And I even adjusted the valves the last time I did the spark plugs as well, which was super intimidating. And I nearly destroyed my whole engine when I decided to torque critical components with a $20 Harbor Freight torque wrench. Yeah, don't do that. But I got super lucky and the bike went together just fine and has been amazing ever since. I have cleaned the air filter a few times on this bike as well, but every time I look at it, it basically is spotless anyway, but I always re-oil it and clean it regardless. Which is a good thing, because getting to that stupid air filter is a nightmare. The plastic fairings on this bike absolutely suck to remove, and maintenance can be kind of a chore because of that. The fuel tank cover has one of those fairings that basically snaps into another one using tabs, and I swear one day it's going to snap right off. I've heard some strange noises while clicking that fairing in, but surprisingly, it is never broken, but every time my heart stops just thinking about it, how I'm going to break that fairing. It's not something I like to remove very often. Anyway, TLDR, the ownership cost has been really low, and reliability has been perfect. I can't knock the bike for my own stupidity. Honda did a fantastic job setting this bike up, and I see no reason why I shouldn't get 100,000 miles out of this engine. Oh, by the way, I just thought of it, but I also replaced the cam chain tensioner at 30,000 miles. It was actually working fine, I just did it as a preventative maintenance. Now let's talk about the riding experience. Let's start with how I sit on this bike. I'm 5'8" and I actually fit really good on this bike. I can flat foot it easily. The reach to the bars isn't too bad, although I do miss my heli bars that I used to have on this bike before I decided to go back to stock. The seat is also OEM and is good for about 2 hours of riding before I really need to get off my butt. I've ridden a lot of sport bikes, and overall the CBR is about a 6.5 out of 10 in terms of comfort. I just find the reach to the bars to be a little far, but it's not bad. Riding on the highway, the wind blast hits you right in the face, but the bike tucks easily and you can slip through the air, and this bike behaves great on the highway. Now let's move on to power. It's no secret that the 600 is not going to have a ton of torque down low, but it revs up quickly that you blink your eye and suddenly you are north of 8,000 RPM and the bike pulls strong. I never found this bike to be slow, ever. Even after immediately getting off the S1000RR, the CBR has always felt fast to me. Sure, it lacked in the torque department, but to this day, my 600 is still the most fun bike I've ever owned. The way it revs so fast and screams through those 4 cylinders is unbelievably addicting. And by the way, 118 horsepower is a lot on about a 400-pound bike. This thing has the same power to weight ratio as a Bugatti Veyron. So it's a rocket ship no matter what people say, and since we mentioned it, let's talk about the weight. The bike stock is about 410 pounds, but mine is a bit lighter thanks to some mods, bringing it closer to that 400-pound number. And the bike feels super light when moving it, whether it's around the garage or dancing with it in the corners. The weight of this bike is another one of my favorite aspects of it. It's lighter than any leader bike out there, and still fast enough to put a smile on my face every time I ride it. I never miss my S1000RR when I'm riding my 600. And now, since we mentioned the handling, it's time to talk about suspension. Again, my bike isn't stock, so if you glance in the back of the bike, you see that beautiful golden Olin shock for the rear. But I still remembered the bike before adding the Olins, and I will say this, the suspension is solid, the bike handles great, but I will admit, when compared to something more modern like a brand new ZX6R, you can tell this bike is a little bit behind. Now, that could totally be because the bike still has the original fork oil on the front, or maybe I've never adjusted the rear or the front to my body weight. But regardless, I've ridden some other bikes and I didn't find the CBR suspension really that good or bad. It's more of like a 5 out of 10 when compared to other sport bikes. It's good enough for the street, but it's definitely not top tier and you can tell. And naturally that leads us to braking. Again, the brakes are similar to the suspension. I added steel braided brake lines and the front feels really nice to me and the bike has never had any trouble stopping for me. However, the rear always felt like wooden, weak. I never really liked the way the rear brake felt. Now that could be because my rear brake needs to be bled. Again, it could be just my bike specifically, not the CBR in general. I do probably need to do some maintenance back there. But again, I never felt the brakes were overwhelmingly good or bad on this bike. They felt fine for the power that the bike has. I think the stainless lines helped a little, but it's not essential. They mostly feel the same to me.
When you are riding this bike, you can feel all the horsepower, every single 118 horsepower. You can really rev the bike out. You can feel it sing. It's loud, it's fast, it's a fun, addicting power band. And when you ride something like this, it allows you to really experience what a super sport has to offer. You can feel the gear changes. You can feel the bike as you're dancing on top of it, going through the corners. It only weighs about 400 pounds, 410 pounds stock. Mine's a little bit modified, so it's a little bit lighter. But the bike feels good, it feels fast, it has good acceleration. It also has right here a Domino quick turn throttle, and it has the throttle cables that go down to the throttle bodies, obviously. And it has a really smooth snap action, as you can see right here. So you could just really articulate and modulate that throttle. And it's quick turns, so right here is full turn, which really gives you a good leverage over the throttle, and you can really easily full throttle without having to really crank your wrists back, which is nice. It makes the bike feel faster. It makes the bike more comfortable. And when you supplement that with the quick shifter, when you supplement that with the high RPM rev range, I mean, you get to 15,000 RPM, this bike will pull, it will go, and you'll be engaged the entire time. This bike makes you work for the power a little bit, but out here on the streets, 118 horsepower is plenty.
However, my absolutely favorite thing about the 600 is the looks. I love the way I modified this bike and changed up the fairings. It is absolutely perfect to me. I love the red color and how it slopes down to the front wheel, making the bike look like it's going 100 miles per hour even while it's sitting still. And then of course there's the signature 1000 mirrors that make this bike look like a bigger bike. From time to time I actually get people asking if it's a 1000cc bike before I kindly point to them the proudly displayed 600 on the tail. And of course the tail, how can we forget the undertail exhaust, which not only looks amazing, but it actually puts out zero heat for me. It is such a cool look. I'll never get tired of seeing the exhaust in the back like that. It's integrated so well. Some notable features about the CBR600RR that make it better than the competition. For one, it has a fuel gauge. I know the newer bikes do too, but up until recently, a lot of sport bikes didn't have one, just the CBR. Also, the OEM electronic steering damper cloaked underneath the tank fairing is such a nice touch, and it's always performed well for me. Never had I an issue with the tank slapper on this bike. And because we mentioned the tank, I want to point out that this bike has a plastic tank cover, and it's an absolute blessing because it allows you to swap all of the fairings over without having to paint the tank, which is really nice. A lot of bikes do not have that benefit. 10 years is a long time to own something. My CBR is my longest tenured vehicle of all time. I never keep things this long, but this bike has so many memories and experiences tied to it. This bike has never let me down, and it continues to always make me happy. I'm most comfortable on this bike, and I've put so much time, effort, and money into this thing that it is basically at this point a part of the family. I credit this bike with a lot. It's basically the bike that started my YouTube channel. It's my logo, my sticker, everything. Now, is it the best bike in the world? No. Have I ridden better bikes before? Yes, I have. But this specific bike has been great to me, and I enjoy it so much, I'll never get rid of it. If you are looking to buy a CBR600RR, specifically a 2007 or a 2008, then keep in mind you are getting the best version of the CBR600RR to ever be produced. Newer ones make less power and cost a lot more, so if you find yourself one of these CBRs and the previous owner took very good care of it, then you are in for a treat because this bike will keep going until you either crash it or give up on riding. This bike will always start and get you where you need to go. It will never let you down, and that's what makes a Honda so special. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this 10-year update review on my 600. Please remember to subscribe so you can check out that mod overview video coming out soon. And if you did like this video, then please hit the like button. It helps me out a lot. And of course, if you guys have any questions about this bike, make sure you ask in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer everyone. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.
It's a sick news, put your little arrows out. Let me live my life, the one I'd better lead. All the plans of fantasies, and we looked at them 11 ways. You said, look